Like Fire Rod or Bow, it's nice to see fast starts after you've seen enough trolls at this point.
And to be fair, I don't think I've seen a single sword start, and I'm not about to see one today because Uncle's walking out of the house empty-handed. As our runners take off, we're going to get our first check of the day, and it is a Cane of Samaria in Link's house. So, how's that for an item to start with?
Well, that's sort of what you wanted. They will get some magic in Escape, so they can use it, but we'll get our actual item in just a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of a twist that I was not expecting. It's very interesting to see. You're right, of course. We're going to see those two small pots inside the in the very first area by that first chest. Now, what would be really amazing if we get a Cane of Berna pickup here and we have dual canes from the start. Let's go.
No, but we do get an excellent item in the hammer.
Yeah, and that is great to see. We've got a tempered sword damage level item in the form of the hammer. We've got one of the more likely to be a trolley items in the Cane of Samaria. So that's pretty good for our runners. Like, you got to feel really great if you're in this position.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the other interesting things, this early cane, the way the logic works, does somewhat point our runners towards either Mire or Turtle Rock when that starts to become relevant. So we'll see if they keep that in mind as the seed opens up later.
Yeah, it certainly could. It's going to also help out in some certain small areas. Ice Palace becomes a little bit easier to navigate. As well, Skull Woods, you don't have to deal with that one Gibdos area as annoying as it is with the Wallmaster. You can see here both of our runners kind of taking an opportunity to make sure they're farming for bombs. Escape sequence being as important as it is in the early game, it's really beneficial if they find a bomb early on. And it looks like the first chest here throws 300 rupees our way, so we're going to have the money we need at the early part of the game as well.
The money is certainly nice, and you're right, they would love to find that bomb. Because without gloves, there is no quick way to come back for those 3 chests at the end of Escape, and you do not want to have to walk back through here.
Yeah, now I have actually seen that a couple of times so far this tournament, and only once where it was actually a very critical find, but it can happen. And there we see an 8-bomb pickup on Arius' side, so that's going to make him feel really comfortable. And we see the magic mirror here already. It's going to be a very fast escape sequence as long as our runners remember that they could use that mirror as soon as they pick up Zelda to warp all the way back to the entrance of the castle.
Yeah, that was an excellent spot to find it. Now, Tstew should likely find that 8-bomb drop if he kills a few more enemies. And hopefully for him, he does.
Yeah, that was that happened because Arius had killed a few more blue guards than he had all on his way in. And there we go in Zelda's cell fighter sword, and we get a quick warp out with the magic mirror. And here we are at 3 minutes 10 seconds, already heading to the back of Escape.
Yep, both our runners do remember that. Now, the back half of Escape is actually the easier part to farm, so there's still a good chance Tstew will be able to find a bomb. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, now just a reminder to people who are watching Randomizer, in this particular version of the game, the back of Escape is always providing our runners with the light cone as if they had the lantern. However, after this sequence, should they choose to go into any dark rooms without the lantern, it will be pitch black for them.
Yep, but that sword does make it quite a bit easier to get through the dark rooms, as it allows you to figure out where you are on the screen.
Yeah, and it was about to make a comment. It was very interesting there that we were seeing some cane strats to try to farm for a bomb when we have the fighter sword, which is really just a simple slash on all these one-hit monsters. But we did get our single bomb drop, kind of imbalance between the number of bombs, and it did slow down Tstew.
Yeah, those snakes are actually very annoying in that they don't die in one cane hit, so that is odd.
And this is there's going to be an advantage here as well when we leave the escape sequence and are looking around Kakariko Village. Arius, wow, gets the Master Sword along with replenishing some bombs there. So
yep, but Tstew did find a bomb from a rat drop and with the ones he'll pick So he will at least be able to check part of Kakariko Village without having to buy them.
And the blue goo as well activates Sick Kid early on, so that's a nice clear for Kakariko Village. We did find the map as well, so that means that we're going to want to check our prize here in the Sanctuary. So a 5-minute and 8-second Sanctuary completion. Wow, that is amazing.
Incredible. Yeah, typically you're looking for around 6 to 6:30 for a solid full clear of escape.
Yeah, and both of these runners are going to be really happy with their times. Arius, of course, that was an outstanding time. There's nothing you could do about it if you find the mirror. That's really going to just be a very big help. But even with that mirror pull, that's a very fast time.
So the level 2 tree pole only has some small magic for our runners, and it does look like both of them are going to take the route that takes them over to Lumberjack Cave.
Yeah, I think at this point, for just security purposes, it's great to know. And what was that? I think it might have been the little flute.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was that, or maybe flippers? It wasn't bombs.
It was blue in an odd shape, so I'm hoping that we'll get an opportunity here on the other side to get a better look.
Yes, it is flute.
Wow, so now we already are very close to Aga access with Master Sword. We just need the lantern now.
But the fun thing is, our runners might not actually need flute.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a required item.
Until we get to the Dark World and find out whether or not Misery Mire is a required dungeon. We won't know for sure. So Arius is heading on his way down to Kakariko Village. With a very good setup, he'll be able to do the full clear of it. And man, coming into Kakariko Village at 7 minutes, that's just so good.
Yeah, so we're going to take a look at what's going on in Blind's hut. So nothing really amazing there, just the blue boomerang.
Yes, Bloomerang, though, is best meringue, so at least they have that. Oh, look, there's the boots!
And then the boots!
Well, that does point them a bit more towards the flute, as now, if they do have to kill Aga, they will have access to flute.
Yeah, that's really going to be... that's always a nice item to get early on, just in general. Ooh, bonked into that tree there. Unlocked a little fairy.
Do you know if that fairy is always there? Is that one of the things that's randomized?
I think that's a random one there. Can't say I've ever bonked that one to know.
Well, we'll find out later. Not much in here so far.
50 more rupees, the well, a piece of heart, and 3 more bombs.
It is funny how the seed loves to throw you multiple bomb packs when it doesn't give you a bomb upgrade.
So bottle vendor there with a red rupee. So Sick Kid now, we have the bottle check, so we're going to just go ahead and get a 5 bomb capacity upgrade here. Kakariko Village not really providing too many good things outside of that boots pickup. Of course, that's going to help Arius run quickly and get whatever's on this library ledge as well right off the bat.
Yeah, an early boots, though, is an excellent find with how much... It just saves so much time over the course of the run. Nothing at the race game, and Arius is likely heading down to South Shore, where we will get another 7 to 8 items, depending upon if he heads over to Ice Rod Cave. And folks, yes, we do see Tstew, don't worry, we're looking into it. Now, Arius does remember to pull up the mirror to save a little bit of time going through the dam. And I'll be curious to see if he decides to head over to Ice Rod Cave. Blue mail. Oh, and we have a Quake medallion. Well, we won't know for a little bit whether or not that's important. But that could give our runners access to one or both of the medallion dungeons later on. And we get our first map check. So we have a 2 crystal light world, nice average, red crystal over in Desert Palace, and a pendant up on Hera. From my opinion, that's a pretty favorable split. Hera can be annoying if you have to go into the basement.
Yeah, absolutely. And so getting 300 more rupees here, a lot of pieces of heart. Like, the seed has been very close-fisted at this point.
Yes, it has. Just a bunch of health, but not too much in terms of progression items yet. Once again, we're still looking for the lamp if the game is telling them to head over to Aga. But they still have quite a few locations to check. Eastern Palace being the big one, but they could also head over and check the one item they have in Desert.
Ice Rod Cave finds 3 bombs there, and Arius saves and quits. Going to proceed to his next plan of attack. I'm going to assume, based on this starting location, that he's going to head right over to Eastern Palace, get those Saharshala checks done, head on in as well.
Yep, and I like that. There's 3 items in the hut if he goes there, and if he heads into Eastern Palace, he can get between 2 or 3 items, depending upon how the seed wants to lay it out for us. Very nice spin speed from Arius to save just a little bit of time crossing that. An excellent little glitch you're only able to do once you have the boots.
Yeah, and so now we get a big 20, another piece of heart, and 50 more rupees. Really, the seed doesn't want to give up any of its secrets.
Nope, but it does want to ensure our runners are loaded to the gills with rupees.
They have all of the monies at this point.
And speaking of gills, I wonder if this is meaning our runners are going to have to head over to Old Zora. Unfortunately, without the Moon Pearl or Flippers, they don't have a way to get into Waterfall Cave, which makes that trek not as appealing.
Yeah, it's really one of those, let's hope, like a last resort type of a check at this point. Oh, and Tstew has returned and is moving about.
Big key out of the first chest, which potentially sets up Arius for the great logic in hearing the ability to skip the last chest. But the rest of these will have to be items for that to be the case. And we find the compass, so into the backside of Desert Palace we go. Or Desert Palace? This is Eastern Palace. Tstew heading down into Kakariko Village. Has to be a little careful with that one heart and takes the long way around to make sure he doesn't get hit by any of the guards.
Yeah, and with Arius, gets a nice quick skip on the Stavos there room. motoring through Eastern Palace. Those boots sure do help out when you get them early on.
Yeah, they're absolutely incredible to have. Most runners' favorite item, I would have to say. Hey, the flippers!
Flippers. So that does put Zora much more, puts it fully into logic, and means that we don't really need the Moon Pearl to go and make it worthwhile to check that Waterfall of Wishing, as well as some other locations. Arius is going to continue on, though, and head into the Dark Room here. The front Dark Room in Eastern Palace is fairly straightforward. It's probably the first one anybody who's running the game learns.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Typically, you have enough health in here that even with the little anti-fairies flying around, you don't have any issue with it. In fact, I would say picking up this pot, the way Arius is doing it, is actually harder than that Dark Room, and he gets it with 1 health and the Moon Pearl!
Absolutely worth it, though. Now, that does mean that the Moon Pearl is logically locked behind lanterns, so hopefully he'll be able to find it relatively soon. And we're just a lift upgrade away from Dark World access.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, if he finds Lamp up in Zora, which is where he's headed now, and there's a decent chance of that with the flippers, he will be back in logic, but if not, he's going to have some interesting decisions to make.
Yeah, it's going to be very curious. Like, the lantern could be any number of places. Now, we already know that with the flute in the lumberjack shed, or the lumberjack hole, it's going to be even if it's not necessarily required, like if Meyer happens to be appended, I think you still just go ahead and pull the trigger on this just in order to have that access to the fast travel around the world.
I definitely agree with that. The amount of time it takes to go check that is very quick, especially relative to your time save.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if as soon as he sees that lantern, he makes his way straight to Castle Tower.
That definitely seems like a great check, because unless he finds gloves, his access is pretty much limited. There's only 3 overworld chests, I think, left to him once he finishes this route.
Yeah, of course, there's potential to find items that change that as well. He's checking the Waterfall of Wishing here, the Zora Ledge, and the King Zora himself. Well, speculation over, because we just grabbed a tempered sword and a lantern out of the Waterfall of Wishing, so loaded for bear.
Wow. It is a really great feeling when you don't have to fight a single boss with anything worse than tempered.
Oh yeah, the tempered sword makes Castle Tower just trivial. All of those red knights that you'll see in there are kind of annoying to deal with early on, but when you've got tempered sword, never mind. They're pretty straightforward. It's just a exercise in going along some narrow bridges, and that's about it.
Pretty much. Nothing much on the ledge, and Zora has nothing. So, yeah. Does Arius head right to Aga, or does he check the couple remaining items?
Well, he's starting from his house, so I would think that he's going to go right to Castle Tower at this point. 6 hearts, blue mail, tempered sword. Why not? Already have the boots, so you're going to be able to pick up the flute immediately. Easy call to make, if you ask me.
I agree with you entirely. But this does mean that gloves are one of the major progression items that is still eluding our runners.
Yeah, and you never know. He could find it sitting there on Pyramid Ledge.
If that was true, that would certainly be the ideal location for it. Because otherwise, with full Dark World access, there's a lot of places for them to check before.
Yeah, this is actually gonna be an interesting seed to see how it carries out. Like gold ball and chain knight causing a little bit of trouble there.
Yeah, those are annoying little enemies to fight if you don't have Fire Rod. Will makes them trivial, but he gets through it all right.
And so, as it's being asked in chat, we don't really know that flute is necessary, but when it's available to you at this early point in the seed, it's almost definitely going to be a time save on your travel, worth the 6 or 7 minutes it takes to get through Castle Tower.
Yes, and the way the logic works out for version 29, early progression or early items you find that can enable progression tend to have a higher chance of being needed to finish the seed. It's not always true, but it's certainly a signal. Nice use of Bloomerang to get through that bridge.
Absolutely, that was a very nice little finding there. Nice little technique.
Now this is interesting. Tstew is electing to do fake flippers after having checked Ice Rod Cave.
Yeah, and this is going to be kind of a frustration for him since we know that the flippers are available to him logically, and the good items are located in the Waterfall of Wishing, so he won't be able to actually use this technique, this glitch, to get any good progress.
Yes, that is unfortunate for him, but we'll see if he decides to do the full fake flippers check, because he might decide to stop after doing Hobo. But I doubt that, as I don't believe he checked the island. Arius is making his way up to the Aga 1 fight. So we will get to see just how many blue balls the seed has decided to screw with us.
Well, that is true. He could... there is potentially... He hasn't got the right setup for the water walk. So there is a way that he might choose to do this, but we'll see.
Yeah, with the boots you are able to access the ledge, but you can't get into the waterfall cave, correct?
To be fair, I'm not entirely certain about all of the tricks that are available with water walking. But be that as it may, at this point we can see that he's just going to check the King Zora himself and see what's on the ledge. It's not going to attract him.
Arius is not... Aga is not being nice to Arius here.
No, the blue balls are flying, and
oh my goodness.
One. Seed's like, you want the flute, eh? Never you mind. Another blue balls. Wow. And the only consolation prize to this is knowing that no matter what, your opponent is also going to face the exact same sequence. So...
Yes, that is true. With Randomizer, all of the RNG for both of our runners is fixed, so they will see the same patterns on the bosses. Assuming, well, their first try anyway.
I think that was 5?
That sounds about right. So Arius finishes it up, and we have Dark World access. Meanwhile, Tstew is doing the boots checks that we have not seen Arius do yet. And there are
look
gloves!
At that, a lift upgrade. So that's going to be a big benefit for him there. He will not necessarily need to do the Castle Tower run right off the bat. He may feel that, you know what, I can delay that a little bit longer. He's going to go up Death Mountain. He's got the mirror, so he's going to be able to get quite a few checks up there. He can go all the way to the east side.
That is true. Now, this is out of logic, as he has not found the lamp yet, but we do know it is in the Sphere 1. Okay, we have our map check, and Misery Mire is required.
Yep, so that flute will need to be picked up at some point. We did see the Ice Palace and Thieves Town were our pendant dungeons.
Well, I have to say, as a runner, seeing Ice Palace is a... Oh, hook shot.
Hook shot. And Cane of Myrna. So I would say, you know, that's a good 4 out of 5 hype cave.
Oh, definitely. Hookshot's one of the most useful items in the game.
Yeah.
But to finish up the Ice Palace thing, it's always nice as a runner to see that you don't necessarily have to go into Ice Palace. I think for most people it is their least favorite dungeon.
Yeah, it's something about ice physics. It's not even that it's a particularly hard dungeon. It's just, it feels slower even than it is. It's not really a very... There are lots of dungeons that are about the same time-wise, but Ice Palace just feels like it's longer.
Yes, it does. Tstew doesn't find anything in Spectacle, though he probably will pick up the heart sitting up here, as they don't have too much health yet.
Yeah, I agree. K45 just has a big 20 on it, so we're going to go ahead and talk to Stumpy now.
Tstew is dipping into Tower of Hera.
Yep.
The first two chests are pretty quick.
Yep, Stumpy provides a piece of heart for us, and Arius is going to head over to Dig Game. And he's got to appreciate finding the big key in Tower of Hera as well as a piece of heart. So he knows that he's not necessarily going to have to head into the basement. He's going to be able to complete the whole dungeon if he chooses.
Well, at the very least, it looks like he has decided to try to find the second item.
Yeah, and, you know, for whatever reason that delayed him at the start... Ooh, Ice Rod here at Dig Game.
Ooh.
Nice find. For whatever incidents that did delay Tstew at the beginning is going to probably cause him to make some of these more higher risk plays just to kind of get himself back in the game. He's got to be thinking a little bit about whatever that time was costing him.
Yeah, I agree. We typically ask our runners if they ever feel ahead or behind, and sometimes it's not too obvious, but in this case, he definitely knows. So Tstew has not found his item yet and is going to go up and fight Moldorm.
Yeah, and Arius now is going to be able to check King's Tomb and Graveyard Ledge, and he'll also route in the Bonk Rocks and get his glove upgrade.
Yeah, this is a very nice little bit of routing here to be able to do this in one go.
Wow, Butter Sword in King's Tomb. So Arius has got all the weapons.
That's incredible. This seed really wants to give our runners the fast items. Early boots, super early Butter Sword. Well, Tstew finds the small key on Moldorm, so if he wants to get the final item, he will have to go into the basement.
Yeah, and he's going to have to go find a lantern first before he can do that.
Yes, he has no light source, or fire source, rather.
Yeah, that's a disappointing situation to grab. Not even the green pendant here, so... You know, he's got it done. If he does, if it turns out to be a pedestal seed, hey, he's a little bit ahead, but we'll have to see what happens.
Yes, and thankfully he does remember that is fire-locked.
So now, this is actually a very... now that I'm thinking about it and taking a look at things, this is a really great routing on Arius' side because he's going to get through all of these north route checks. Bonk Rocks are going to get taken care of next. Then he's going to be able to mirror again over to Lumberjack Cave and pick up his flute before walking back into the Kakariko Village. If I were him, I'd actually just take the Dark World there and have the easy portal in and out of Village of Outcasts.
Yep, and he does find his mitts as well, so he's got a lot open to him.
Cave. Really nice writing. Oh, Silver Arrow's up there on Bumper Cave, so he's got additional knowledge that's going to be very helpful.
Yep, but our runners will have to find Cape if they want to get up there.
So now we're about to get a look at what's going on here in Paradox Cave. Lots of items here. It's the first time we'll see that on TC side. We get a Big 20 and a bee in a bottle.
Not even the good bee. What a ripoff.
Dig Game Shovel. Another Big 20, piece of heart. The Book of Medora. And 50 rupees. That's a very interesting Paradox Cave because it does give access to Desert. The Desert Palace, which is a crystal dungeon.
Yeah, that's actually potentially bad for Tstew, as we know he wants to head over and do Aga at some point here, but he might first go do Shovel and Desert.
Yeah, he's kind of taking the seed and taking the kind of obscure breadcrumbs that it's leading. Just an artisanal arrow buried in the ground there. Nothing that he wants to pick up. It's a little dirty.
Yeah, and with Flute and Mirror in access, they already had. Well, we know there is another logical access to Desert Palace, so Book actually might end up being needed for the tablets.
That's true as well, yeah. Arius trying to open chests without actually paying the price.
I mean, you can't blame him for wanting to stiff him, especially considering how bad that prize was.
Mm-hmm. But we're gonna have Tasty's gonna get his Eastern Palace chicks out of the way. That's gonna be very happy for him. He'll have his access to both the Dark World with the form of the Moon Pearl, and also it's likely going to lead him to his lantern as well.
Yes, it will. So Arius remembers to activate his duck, and decides he doesn't want to do Pendant Thieves Town.
Yeah, and I don't blame him for that at this point. He's got lots of places he could potentially go. It would be really interesting to see if he chooses to head up to Death Mountain relatively soon, since he has both Lantern and the Flute. He can go there whenever he feels like it, but instead, he's going to head into the Dark World over here by Swamp Palace. And he can actually clear that out if he chooses.
That's interesting. A lot of runners like to put off Swamp Palace due to how fast you can clear it in go mode, but it does have 6 items in it.
Yeah, and at an early point in the game, when there's still lots of items that you're looking for, those 6 items, there's a high percentage chance that you're going to find something you need in there.
Definitely, and with Butter Sword, this is a very, very easy clear, and it will be a very quick boss fight at the end. So as we are progressing, we're about 30 minutes into the seed, we already have a lot of progression available to us, but no crystals done yet. However, Arius should be gathering that first crystal here in about 5 minutes or so. But after that, there's still a few really important items they need. They need Bow, Fire Rod, and depending upon what Mizramar and Totoroik have, medallions, as well as Titan or Power Mitts, gloves, bits. Something like that.
Titansmiths. there's four words. Trying to put them together in the right order, it always makes me stumble as well for some reason.
The gold gloves. There we go.
Oh, some nice movement here by Arius through these dashes and attacking enemies on the way. It's really nice.
Tstew having no difficulty with the Dark Room, and we'll be finding his orb, his Moon Pearl.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice find there. You can tell he's probably going to be regretting the fact that he did fake Flipper as he does this, but you know, small things, and he'll recover from that relatively quickly.
Yes, he will. Now, I imagine Arius is going to start by doing left side, though some runners, typically later in the seed, will elect to go to the boss first and put off left side if they can.
Yeah, for me, it really depends on the number of items I've found along the way. Oh, there we go. We find the D here in the bottom section of Swamp. That's a great find.
Yeah, that is huge. That gives our runners access to full clear both Eastern Palace and Pod.
Yeah, and if he can find the cape, he'll have silver arrows.
And finding Bow in here looks like it's enough to convince Arius to put off left side for the time being.
Yeah, he's got a lot more. There's a lot less chance for progression. It's almost it might be worth it. There's a good chance that he's going to find the rest of the items along the way. So
Yeah, and at the very least, with pod opening up being another very item-rich location, you can't feel too bad about wanting to check that. Tstew finds his lamp and his tempered sword.
Now,
So we'll
Arius is
see if
going
he
to have to be
decides to do
careful.
Agus.
Magic powder. There's a nice find as well. It's not necessarily required. In fact, most runners can easily complete a seed without it, but having access to health replenishments from all those anti-fairies along the way, especially in Ganon's Tower, is just nice. And there's another item, so we're running out of items in Swamp Palace to find. So this little risky gamble by Arius is potentially well worth it.
Yes, it could be. Now, Tstew heads over into the Dark World and does a map check, so he now knows that that flute sitting in Lumberjack Cave is required. So it'll be interesting to see how much he decides to do before heading over to Aga.
So now we have like Argus, who arguably is not a very difficult boss, but made even easier by Buttersword early on.
Yes, very much so. Getting trolled a little bit with trying to grab those puffs. But he does get the one cycle on phase 1. No drama on the spins, and he finishes off and gets his first crystal.
Oh, finding the big key there on the boss means that there's 3 chests still to check.
Yeah, it's real tough to want to leave the dungeon when you still know there's at least one item that's required for go mode.
Yeah, he has actually, I think he's got 2 out of the 3. There's 2 items, I believe. He has 2 out of the 3 dungeon items, the big key and the compass. So there's still the map, I think, or the big key in the map, and maybe he needs the compass still. So 3 chests, 2 items.
And Tstew getting the same idea as Arius and heading over to Swamp Palace. This will actually work out really well for him, as he'll be able to pick up Bow at a very good time.
Could be a very important item there with a fetch quest in the big key chest, so...
Yep, and Flute makes that a very easy one to complete. Arius remembering not to drown that key, which is always nice, as it is an absolute pain whenever you forget. Tstew also having to be fairly careful in here, as he only has 2 hearts. Blue Mail saving him from that first bone toss.
Yeah, both runners kind of running into health troubles here in the swamp, but you know, they just slow things down a little bit, be cautious. There's a lot of hearts hiding under these skull pots.
Yeah, both our runners are sitting on a very small number of hearts. Arius only with 7. Now, while Blue Mail makes it a lot safer, it still feels kind of dangerous to be going to some of these Dark World areas.
Oh, and then gets trolled by the jelly.
Tstew finds his bow, and we'll see if he decides to go left side. He does.
Yeah, in his position, it makes a lot of sense. And just another big 20 there, so that ends the Swamp Palace checks for Arius. So he's going to head out someplace else now. We'll see where he chooses to go. There's a lot of potential locations that he has accessible to him. He could go over to Death Mountain now, which has a lot. But instead, he's going to go deal with Palace of Darkness and finish off Eastern Palace. And I like this. He just got the bow.
Yeah,
Lots
I do
of items
too.
here too.
He had the option of staying in the Dark World and going up to... Or no, he's actually already checked Pyramid, because he finished Aga, so he doesn't want to do that. So fluting makes a lot of sense there.
Yep.
So Arius has plenty of money to bribe everyone's favorite little monkey. And we are into pod.
So we're really just, at this point, looking for a fire rod, potentially some additional medallions. We'll find out relatively as soon as we find, and the lift upgrade.
Yep, the lift upgrade's probably the biggest one for runners to find, is that'll allow them to check what the 2 remaining medallions are that they need for Misery Mire and Turtle Rock.
So we're going to be able to have really nice routing here through Palace of Darkness with the Magic Mirror, boots, and the bow on your first time through. It's really as quick as you could possibly hope for.
Yes, it is. It's a wonderful feeling to not have to walk back out of the Dark Maze after opening up the boss chest.
Vanilla Big Key location's just a big 20 here, so that's 1 item down.
Tstew is getting very close to finishing up his Swamp Palace. 3 more chests and the boss to go. So Tstew also has a lot of options available to him after he finishes up this dungeon, because once again, he knows he still has to do Aga at some point. But with Bo, he will also be able to come do this pod play if he wants to. Arius getting trolled by that bomb.
And there's our Titan's Mitts. So lift upgrade acquired here in Palace of Darkness. Arius could not have made a better choice in where to go after finishing up Swamp.
Yeah, that is absolutely huge for our runners. And interestingly enough, if the medallion they currently have is the one required for both, I believe that would put our runners in go mode.
I still needs the fire rod.
Oh, yes. That pesky little item on the left side of the screen.
Yeah. So really that's what he's absolutely looking for. Both for Turtle Rock and for Skullwoods. And anything else he finds along the way would be nice, including the cape, because the access to Silver Arrows, that's a real quick check when you have Bumper Cave already in your knowledge.
Yeah, Silver's just make the run quite a bit easier at the end, but Buttersword does make Ganon a fairly easy fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I would expect both of our runners to be comfortable with the spin strats.
Yeah, it's one of those things I find that if I'm thinking about it logically, if I know where they are and they're not far out of the way, I'm always going to probably grab them. There's going to be plenty of opportunity to just take that quick little flute over or save and quit out of and head to Kakariko Village with the flute in order to get to the Dark World and check Bumper Cave. Especially since he's at some point going to have to go to Skullwoods and deal with Mothula. So it's a quick check.
And he probably makes up all the time you lose from checking it with silvers for Misery Mire. Now, Tstew making the great routing decision of coming over and checking the Bombos tablet, as he has already picked up Book from Death Mountain.
Arius, of course, deciding instead of mirroring out, he's only at 1 heart there, so might as well just take a Death Warp. It's better off. Getting a little health replenishment.
Yeah, that's probably a good play for him. They don't have much health to begin with. Tstew finds nothing on Bombos, and it looks like he's going to be heading over to doing a Desert Palace play.
Yeah, he has all the things that he needs to access it, so why not? Big 20 there in Agena's Cave, so nothing important. Arius now making his way to the back part of Palace of Darkness.
And with Desert Palace being the other of our red crystals, Tstew will actually have access to Fat Fairy after this if he wants to.
Mm-hmm. So ledge there, yeah, just the 3 bombs on Desert Ledge. Very clever there of Arius to pick up some additional arrows out of those chests, knowing that he's going to be heading into Eastern Palace after this, and he'll want to be loaded for the Armos Knights.
Yeah, that's something you always want to be keeping an eye on as a runner in Rando, because the way you might have to do dungeons, there's no guarantee you're actually going to have that many arrows when you get to things like Ganon's Tower, where you want to have some. So we do find out that Desert Palace was boots locked, but that's hardly a surprise considering how early we found that.
Wow, Arius just put it on a clinic on how to deal with Turtle Room there. That was as good as I've seen in anyone perform.
And off to Helmasaur. Electing to use the sword to give the hammer a little bit extra range and to prevent him from running into Helmasaur.
Spinning a slash is all it takes. You're very quick to deal with Helmasaur King.
Yeah, Butter Sword is absolutely excellent for this fight. I believe it's faster than actually switching to a silvered bow.
It certainly is comparable at the very least. So, Desert Palace hasn't given us anything of value at this point. Of course, it is a crystal, as you say, and a 5/6 crystal at that, so...
Yep, either way, you still have to clear it.
Yep.
Zarius will be making his way through Desert Palace, Eastern Palace. Goodness, I keep getting those mixed up today. Quickly, as he has already been in here once and just needs to kill the boss.
Almost forgetting that he's already been here.
Yeah, that muscle memory can get you.
So this has been a relatively straightforward seed when you think about it. Our runners really have only both made one major sequence break, and that was not really major, I should say. Just simply picking up the Moon Pearl which was behind a dark room, and everything else has been along the line.
Yes, and that one pickup, though, does show the importance of being able to do the dark rooms, because otherwise our runners would have actually had to triple dip Eastern Palace by the game's logic.
Yeah, that is true.
Tstew doing Temperate Sword strats for Lanmolas, the best item available to him for this fight. Having a little bit of trouble at the start, but he's gotten it down well, and 2 already down. And there's the 3rd. So he gets another heart for his trouble, and as that's the 2nd item, though, nothing of importance out of Desert Palace.
Ooh, Armos Knight's getting a little up close and personal with Arius there.
Yeah, he had a good start for the quick kill, but unfortunately that one bodied him a little. So at 49 minutes into the run, Arius has picked up his 3rd crystal. So where do you think he's going to head now?
Well, I think he's going to go up. If I were a betting person, I'd say he's going to go to Death Mountain. He's got a lot of both Light World and Dark World checks to make there. But instead, he proves me wrong and goes to Misery Mire to check the Mire locations.
Yeah, this is a good check as well. He still needs to find out what this medallion is.
Yeah, he can complete Desert Palace as well at this point, so...
And if he has the medallion, which it is not, we need Bombos, he could have also gone in and done Misery Mire. Now, Tstew is electing to go take that big bomb over to check Pyramid Fairy, and I really like this from him. If you're going to do the 2 red crystals early, this is a great check, especially since he hasn't been over to Pyramid for the 1 item that's already there. Tstew also has the option after doing this, if he wants to, he could head up and do Catfish. Another one of those items that can really mess with our runners if it has a progression, as it's very much out of the way.
I'm down to 1 heart again, though, so... I'm gonna find a full heart container and another piece of heart, so... Pyramid Fairy not providing anything that he's happy to see at this point. I think he's just gonna take...
Yeah, so he actually has an interesting thing here in that he can mirror directly up to the agate entrance.
And I believe he intentionally, maybe he may have intentionally lowered his hearts. No, he's going to go ahead and use his blue goo, I think.
Yeah. Oh, nope, he does. He changes his mind and takes the death. And honestly, I think that's probably the better play for him. It's nice to hold on to that blue goo for some of the later, more dangerous dungeons, because he should be able to get through the rest of here without too much trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, you know, the magic replenishment in that would have been wasted as he was at full magic. Oh, gets a fairy there to replenish him after getting a little bit beat up by those 2 blue guards.
Yes, as we like to say, planned. It
Absolutely.
wasn't. Something you can plan in NMG, not so much in Rando, I believe. So, as Arius makes his way through the rest of Desert and Tstew climbs Tower, we're assuming Arius is going to do a check of Death Mountain here soon. But if he doesn't find progression, where do you want him to go? Because there's a few options available to him.
Yeah, it is going to be an iffy call for him. He could... It'll depend a little bit. If there's a medallion, if he has a medallion for Turtle Rock, he could maybe decide to take a look in there and get a single item while he's up there. He has the entire south run of Village of Outcasts, rescuing the lumberjack and dealing with Gary's lunchbox. There's the fetch quest of Mushroom as well, and Powder at Mad Batter. There's a lot he has, a lot of little one-offs that he can start to make use of. In order to find some progression.
Yeah, well, this seed has been very fast in giving our runners most of the items they need.
Yeah, and
there's still that fire rod.
If he does have to dip a pendant, if he feels obligated to go into a pendant dungeon, I'm going to say you probably go into Thieves Town. It's right there and has 4 items in it. It's relatively quick, especially with boots. So.
Yeah, definitely. Now, with Ice Palace actually being the green pendant, it also has effectively 4 items with it, but it is definitely slower to do than Thieves Town.
Yeah, and I think if I were a runner in this position, I'd want to go ahead and at least get a pedestal check before I went there. Doing Thieves Town, it's not too hard to deal with blind. Get that medallion out of the way, or that pendant, sorry, and then perhaps head up to Skullwoods, hope to find the fire rod, and if I don't, at least mirror over and read the pedestal. He'll have the Book of Medora by the time he gets there, since he's doing his Death Mountain check now.
Excellent point on the book. Tstew is on his Aga fight and finding out just how annoying all these blue balls are.
Yep, there's going to be 5 of them.
Now, another thing to note with Ari... Oh! Early Spike Cave. Interesting.
Yeah, he has the cane, so Cane of Burna plus Hookshot. It's a nice, easy call.
Yep. It is a very nice time to route it in too, especially if you're not planning to do something like Tower of Hera right away. And want to just head over to East Death Mountain after this save quit.
Yep, and he just finished unlocking the old man there, so he's got access to Mountain Cave. But he's got to remember to flute first.
Yep, unfortunately,
Mirror
because of
Sword.
having killed Aga, save quitting in the Dark World still puts you in the Dark World.
Yep, so our runners get a little high five at the top of the pyramid / Hyrule Castle before going their separate ways.
Tstew is going to go pick up his flute here, and so he will now also have access to that nice bit of mobility. And from there, he'll have a lot of options available to him. We know that Pod is one of the places he'll want to go relatively early.
Yeah, he's probably going to make use of that Palace of Darkness, Eastern Palace check, and you'll see, although there's some overworld checks that separate the two runners, it's not as far apart as one would think, considering what happened early on in the seed.
Definitely. Though I do have to wonder, with him electing to do the Tower of Hera Pendant Dungeon, if he's not just going to gamble and elect to do Thieves Town first.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where his decisions lead him. So there's Book of Medora for Arius, along with the shovel, which we know leads to nothing of importance.
Yep, they just need to complete out the set of fetch quests. Nice bomb jump by Arius to skip a little bit of backtracking.
Yeah, so now I anticipate he'll go ahead and check Floating Island, come back down Spiral Cave before going up the Super Bunny Cave in the Dark World.
Yep.
He's going to go ahead and actually... Oh, nope, change his mind. Oh, wait, change his mind again. He's going to take a look at Turtle Rock's Medallion this run.
Yep, he just likes those screen transitions.
Yeah, and I had heard, I wasn't playing Rando at the time, but it used to, what I understand is it used to track your... Ooh, Quake Medallion, so he's going to open that up while he's here. Randomizer used to track the number of screen transitions you made.
Interesting. So electing to open this here is a great... just saves you a little bit of time, and if you happen to forget that you need to come up here in the light world while you're not locked out.
So now he's going to just go through Super Bunny Cave from the top. Means he doesn't have to take the falls, so it's a little bit of a time save.
So if you're already up here and you have access to Turtle Rock, do you elect to check that first chest?
You know, you're fishing for the fire rod, so maybe it's kind of a hard... You're here, so perhaps why not? He's already done Spike Cave, so there's nothing else he wants to go down the mountain again. He will probably want to go check the Ether Medallion tablet.
Yep, that is open to him, and we did not see that when Tstew was up here.
So, Fisher Price Sealed, Red Mail, Red Rupee, and a Blue Rupee.
Red Mail is a very nice find for Arius right now. With less than 10 hearts, that'll make doing things like Misery Mire and Turtle Rock quite a bit safer.
And he's going to go ahead and make this check. You know, it's a single item. Could potentially change your entire decision about what to do in the game going forward. So I do like it. You're already here. You either get some information. What'll be interesting is if he finds something like a key, If he chooses to continue on instead of leaving, oh, big key. So that's going to just make him mirror out.
But it is a nice find. If he comes back up here when he's in go mode, that'll make the routing just a little bit easier.
Gets a nice little speed off those steps coming out of Turtle Rock. I'm wondering now, my big question is, and I don't know what he'll choose to do, but is he just going to go ahead and clear Tower of Hera? It's quick, and he's here. It's a pendant dungeon, and if Fire Rod happens to be a pedestal, he may choose to do it. Now, of course, he's going to definitely go ahead and do the medallion tablet first.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting check of philosophies, because some runners, the way they decide to route is to just assume, okay, the item's going to be in the place that helps me go the fastest.
Wow, look at that, vanilla!
Yeah, and entirely worthless for our runners, as we know we need bombos.
Yep.
But Arius looks like he does decide to go with, hey, this is right here and it's easy, let's get the 2 items.
Yeah, and I like this kind of play. Climbing Death Mountain is such a time investment that if you're here, it's you might as well do it. It does mean that it's going to kind of give another little bit of time equalization for Tstew. That's really nice for him because he's already done this particular dungeon. But if this turns out to be a pedestal seed, that's going to have been a benefit for both of our runners.
That is true, but one thing we do know is that the second item is in the basement. We did not see it as Tstew did not have a fire item when he came in here, so it'll be interesting to see if Arius does decide to head down into the basement with its 22-second tile room.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting call to take. Now, there's one that I'm not sure. It does mean 1 item, orphaned if he doesn't, and man, would it be a trolly situation if it happens to be the Fire Rod or perhaps Bombos.
Yes, it would. I'm of the opinion that if you've elected you're going to make this play, you need to fully commit to the play and get the second item out of here.
Oh no, the beetle.
Yeah, it does not quite get the align there, and we get to see a little bit of Link ping pong. That dash feels so good when you're able to get it, as you can just slip by the bumper.
Yeah, second time's the charm. So, 2 slashes here for Trolldorm with... Oh no! Troll!
Trolldorm claims a victim.
Double trolled in Tower of Hera so far for Arius. Troll Beetle, Trolldorm.
Yeah, that pretty much sums up my opinion of this place.
Little hesitation. Oh, he was making a beeline straight for him again. But as I was trying to say earlier, 2 slashes is relatively easy to deal with Trolldorm when you have the Butter Sword. Gets his key. Kind of annoying. But yeah, I think at this point, it's just, you might as well head in. You'd feel so awful if it turned out to be something important.
Yeah, and Arius does not realize that he actually has a decent lead right now, so he does elect to leave it.
Choosing to leave. So he's got the mushroom to turn in. He's got a couple of other little one-off locations that he's going to be looking at right now. Magic Powder at the Mad Batter. And then to deal with Hammerpeg Cave, Jeremiah, and the other, the Purple Chest. I believe that's probably where he's going to head next.
It certainly seems likely. Electing to fill up his second bottle while he's here. A good use of that time.
So we do know that we need Bombos as well, so we're still 2 items away.
Yep, 2 items away with most of the game open to us. And a lot of it not checked. We've spent most of our time so far in dungeons.
So I like this. Might as well go and check if you find anything useful here in Skullwoods. You're going to have to come back in again. So we'll see if this plays off for Arius.
Yep, and the Cane of Samaria does make the back check just a little bit quicker. The Butter Sword makes killing those zombies very quick. Tstew is moving on to his Trinex Helmasaur fight. And after that, he will also likely be heading off into Eastern Palace to collect his 4th crystal. A few more slashes required as he only had tempered, but he gets the boss down with no issue. Nice little bonk by Arius to avoid having to fall down the hole. And he's heading on to the backside, which is a very good play for him to be making right now. You don't want to be leaving this one chest orphaned. And there's the fire rod! Well, that's an excellent spot to find that. Arius will now be able to full clear Skull Woods in one go. That is an incredibly trolly location, though. Anytime you find the needed item in that dungeon, that can really throw runners for a loop.
Yeah, what a find. So the hunt now for a single item.
Yes, Bombos being the only thing remaining, so they can get into Misery Mire. And with also finding Fire Rod, that opens up Ice Palace fully as well, though it's certainly not a place you want to be going anytime soon.
Yeah, it's almost kind of a bummer to find it.
Yeah, you almost rather find Well, I suppose Bombos also opens up Ice Palace.
Doesn't really matter, I guess the circumstances are just going to be what they were. Mothula goes down really quickly there, gets the other item, so that speeds things up a lot for Arius. I'm going to guess that we'll see a pedestal check here just in case it turns out to be Bombos.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick check right here, and it saves a ton of time if you find out that it's required.
Now, in the event that it is required, we'll have a true full clear required dungeon, or seed. Castle Tower, and all of the pendants.
That is true. It's not often to see both an Aga and a Ped seed.
So just a heart container. So the Ped's dead. But we might still need to go through Green Pedestal, or Green Pendant, in Ice Palace. And looks like that's where Arius is going to go for at this point.
That's really interesting, because Fire Rod fully opened up Turtle Rock to him. And Turtle Rock has 5 items in it.
Yeah, that is an interesting choice. So we have already seen Bombos medallion check, I believe. So we know that, or Bombos tablet check. So we know it's not a vanilla Bombos.
Yes, Tstew went over there, and I believe it was a piece of heart.
Yeah, this is as you say, this is a very interesting choice from Arius' perspective, with Turtle Rock being completable, and it being a pendant dungeon with so many items and in logic. But this could easily pay off. We'll find out in just a few moments. Well, I suppose in about 6 minutes. So Mire Shed, getting TC's check of the Mire Shed location, checkerboard cave.
Yeah, Tstew is actually following a very similar route to the one that Arius has done, which is working out great for him. And that's actually something I'm not too surprised to see. At this level of play, you see a lot of very similar routing from runners. They tend to have done a lot of practice in optimizing their runs and think alike in a lot of the ways they want to do their progression. So it's
first shot on this bomb jump there. Nice work.
Yeah, excellent setup for him. Though it is a little interesting he chooses to do it at all. If he plans on full clearing Ice Palace, with access to both Cane and Hookshot, it's actually quicker to leave those pegs down.
Yeah, if you find a key, if you have the right number of keys, it doesn't really make a difference time-wise, but he does not have one at this juncture, so you're right. It would have been slightly faster. But I think, again, and we've probably had this discussion before, that it's really just kind of you get used to a certain pattern, and that's the way you do a dungeon.
That's certainly true. And at the end of the day, the routing option that's the most consistent is the most important. 1 second.
Yes, it is true that Tstew has completed Eastern Palace as well. He did defeat the Armless Knights. So now he's going to make his way through. Tstew's making his way through. Hookshot Cave gets the red mail, along with that Fisher Price shield, a couple of rupees. Now, what might be interesting here is if he chooses. This will also be my big question: is he going to choose to go back and finish off that chest that he's orphaned? So he's electing to open up Turtle Rock. Perhaps going to go ahead and get that first chest out of the way, find his big key. We'll see. Meanwhile, Arius is making excellent time through the Ice Palace rooms that he's going to. He's going to be fully clearing this in a really quick time, considering Tstew chooses to go in, and he will get that first location checked.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for Tstew to wanting to be going in there, feeling behind as he does. The gamble would make a lot of sense if it paid off for him and could save him a lot of time. Of course, we know Arius also elected to make that check.
Now, he can't go any further than this, unfortunately for him, so it's not going to lead to anything, but it was a good call. And I'm still crossing my fingers. You know, for me, I don't know. Perhaps it's just my play style, but leaving that orphan chest in a dungeon that you've already been in just makes me feel so anxious. I'll be curious to see if Tstew takes a moment to just head to the basement.
It definitely does, and it's one of those things that has, unfortunately, cost a lot of runners the race. You finish a dungeon like that, and then an hour later or something, you suddenly discover that, oh, I'm still missing an item, and I don't know where the chest is, and you have no memory that you didn't fully clear that dungeon.
Oh, and it looks like he is going to go in and do that. So we're about to see if this could be a turning point in the seed. If it turns out to have been the right move to make, we'll find out in a few, I guess, just about 40 seconds.
Yep, everyone's favorite coffee break. Assuming you can take a really fast coffee break.
And Arius fights Cold Stare. We'll see if it... having to use his blue goo just to get that last couple of fire rod shots. Fortunately, Butter Sword makes this incredibly trivial. It gets the full juggle on Cold Stare in the corner.
Yep, only takes one hit from a bit of falling ice. So, unless Shirasala's hut has the item we're looking for, Bombos, not much point to be going into Ice Palace.
Yeah. It would have been a complete time waste in that case, and just a fire shield there for Tstew, so not what he wanted to see, but...
It does complete his full red set, though, so he is looking quite stylish.
Yeah, very sharp. You know, and that is the one shield upgrade that really helps out in some certain fights. Mirror shield is nice as well. It's good for laser bridge. But, you know, being able to absorb a few fireballs for, you know, feels good, especially in the Landmolus 2 fight.
Definitely that one.
5 rupees for returning Saharjula's lost green pendant. Complete waste there, unfortunately, for Arius. You know, that's got to feel bad, man.
It definitely does, and that's actually going to be very interesting because that might make Arius feel quite behind. It took him a long time to check Skullwoods to find Fire Rod, and now he's full cleared a pendant dungeon he didn't need to.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see where Arius is going here with... I'm guessing he's going to go check out the...
This is probably Pyramid Fairy into maybe Catfish?
Yes, he hasn't done Pyramid Fairy yet, so that's a decent call for him to make. Still waiting for him to make the Hammer Pegs Lumberjack check. Or not Lumberjack, Blacksmith check. And Mad Batter.
Yeah, I actually kind of wish he had done that first, as he also has Powder, so he could get 4 items from doing that full fetch quest chain. And
trying to fish his bomb back. He did get it. Okay. There's a glitch there that if you do a screen transition right as the bomb would be exploding, it will warp to you.
And also, having the good memories to remember that he can actually just enter the Dark World right over here. Good routing from Arius.
Mm-hmm. So Catfish is a full heart container. That's not first time we got to look at that. Unfortunately, nothing of value coming out of that particular item check. And we know that Arius wasn't about to find anything valuable there either. At this point, he's got a healthy amount of hearts and red mail, so...
While Arius is doing this, Tstew is heading back into the Dark World, and I'm curious where he's going to go from here.
Yeah, he has already done the Pyramid Fairy check. Oh, Arius is saying to himself, I gotta go check Tower of Hera. So, looks like... Oh, maybe not. He's gonna go into the Turtle Rock. Okay. I like this play from him. If he's gonna go to a dungeon, I thought he was gonna continue checking overworld checks, but if you've got to go into a dungeon, go into one that you can complete. And
definitely.
It's so many items. It's nice to go mode and skip Laser Bridge if you can, but really, it's not a problem when you have Cane of Burna.
Yeah, exactly. And at this point, Arius actually has cleared out most of the overworld checks available to him. Oh, he gets blocked by that trolly little rock and decides to just reset the screen.
Yep.
But having cleared out most of the overworld locations, you get into an interesting bit with the version 29 logic that decided to weight the dungeons slightly more than the overworld. So he might also be deciding, I'd like to get some of my dungeons checked done first before I decide to full clear overworld.
So TC's about to get his ice rod. Not the rod that he wants right at this exact moment, but certainly it's a useful one.
Yeah, definitely.
Have that out of the way.
And a big relief, too. Not having to hunt for that all over the place, though of course we know that they will be hunting for bombos.
Yeah, now he, of course, has the Titan Smith, so he's going to be able to, and this is a natural decision here for him to take this south checks, rescue the blacksmith. I always want to call Jeremiah Lumberjack lately. I don't know why. Oh, and there's our cape for Arius. Now, if he chooses, he can always pick up silvers. He's going to have to head back down the mountain anyway to head towards Misery Mire, so we'll see if he makes that choice. $10 arrows for rescuing the smiths, so they were actually Fletchers today instead of blacksmiths. And we'll get our Mad Batter check in just a few moments. Perhaps we'll be cursed with bombos. Just a piece of heart.
Oh, the Pokey gets a little bit away from Arius, but good use of the Fire Rod to shut it down. And with him still needing Bombos, he can't skip this chest and steal the key, but unfortunately he only gets a map out of it.
Oh, Tstew's choosing not to get the purple chest. Instead, he's going to check... Oh, he hasn't finished all of his Village of Outcasts checks, so...
It'll be interesting to see if he does decide to go back and get that. Flute makes the check a pretty quick one. But if you're feeling behind...
He may also be thinking Thieves Town at this point, so we'll see.
Yeah, Thieves Town with its 4 items is certainly not a bad play. And we're off to the Mimic Cave.
So, in Thieves Town, we find a bottle of B. Oh, and there's Bombos in Mimic Cave. So, the seed was guiding you all along, holding your hand.
Yes, it was. So at just shy of 122, Arius enters Go mode.
Yep, so he's just going to be able to skip most of the chests here. It's a good thing he didn't skip that one because he needed that key.
Yes, he did. We've got one more shot at a chest to let us skip doing anything of Laser Bridge. So unfortunately for Tstew, we know that there's now absolutely nothing of value in Thieves Town.
Well, that would have been potentially the mirror shield for Arius if he had done the Tower of Hera basement. But that is of no consequence.
Yep. So now that Arius knows he's in Go mode, does he still actually go and pick up silvers?
You know, he does have to walk, you know, he can easily decide to walk past there if he's feeling he's got a comfortable position, but with Butter Sword, you know, Vitreous Fight is very easy as well.
Yep, 13 hearts and Red Mill is more than enough health to do the sword strats on him.
So now he's just got to find a key here on Laser Bridge. Oh, and it'll be in the last chest. Oh no. A beetle.
Yeah, and Arius elects to take the safety door. Ooh, I think I might have wanted to check that chest first, because now that beetle's respawning. And of course, it's the last chest on Laser Bridge that has the item.
You just take the death and enjoy your death warp.
Yeah, definitely.
To get your health back, yeah. And that's what Arius does make the choice to do.
Yep, but now we're going to get to see Butter Sword Trinex, which is a super fast fight, if done correctly.
Yeah, he's got a fairly easy walk through the rest of the game.
And while he's doing this, Tstew is making good time through Thieves Town. But unfortunately, this is just sending him farther and farther away from where the logic is actually directing him.
Yeah, and I can understand his decision. You know, with his start of this game, you kind of want to feel like it's important to make the plays less less likely plays just to hopefully get an advantage on your opponent. Oh, Arius, unfortunately, forgetting he has Butter Sword, so he won't be able to switch to the Fire Rod as quickly as he would have liked, so still gets a very good...
Yep, the redhead cooperates and decides to not spew ice everywhere.
And easily, Butter Sword takes down Trinex.
Tstew is having an excellent blind fight right now, sticking perfectly to the script.
Yeah, that was a very nice one.
Yeah, pay attention to that, folks. That's exactly how you want to be doing that fight. No drama, no fuss.
So Arius now just has to head down to Misery Mire, so he's going to mirror out and flute there immediately.
And in doing so, is electing to skip silver arrows.
Yeah, I think you'd only take them if he was really feeling like super far ahead, and he has no reason to believe that he is. And even then, you know, Butter Sword Ganon is so straightforward for a runner who's made it to 4-1.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, and I do agree. I think he feels quite behind at this point, having done Tower of Hera and Ice Palace, 2 pendants that weren't required.
Yeah, that Ice Palace might have been weighing heavily on him. He could have gone into Turtle Rock before he went into Ice Palace. It was full clearable at the time, so that's definitely going to make him think a little bit, I would assume.
And that is one of the beauties of the randomizer race. Our runners have no idea where their opponent is, so they always have to be worrying, oh, was this a good decision, or did that just cost me a bunch of time?
Yeah, and it's kind of a double-edged sword. You kind of think to yourself, well, would they have made the same decisions as I have, or would they have gone a different path? And you kind of think to yourself, when you make a good call, you assume they did the same thing as you, and when you make a bad call, you assume that they didn't make it. It's just a psychological game that ends up being played out in your mind a million times during every single matchup.
Yes, it does. Especially on a race like this where you're hunting for one item for, about 20 minutes.
Yeah, and a 20-minute hunt for your final go mode in V29 standard randomized is, you know, it seems like a long time, but it's absolutely not. Like, there have been some seeds where we've had runners looking for over an hour for a single item. In this particular one, wasn't too bad.
No. C did a pretty reasonable job of directing them, and at the very least, it gave them plenty of the tools needed to do fast clearing.
Yeah, and Tstew's now going to go ahead and find his Fire Rod. He's made the call to enter into Skullwoods, which is nice for him.
And Arius is electing to do some interesting routing through here to try to skip doing the cutscene.
Yeah, he just made the one check there, I think, that changed, just to see if he could change his mind.
Yep.
Yeah, knowing he's very low in magic, very good idea there to not use another Fire Rod shot, since he's going to have to head south here and make use of the lantern now. Or he can pick up a full magic if he wants, but there it goes, he remembers.
Yep, and only 2 chests remaining in here that can have the big key in it. And no problem with the block push torch glitch.
Oh, these two just getting trolled a little bit by his bomb placements on this bomb jump.
And then by the tiny little floater.
And there he has it. So, vanilla big key for Arius in Misery Mire. And he's going to head down to the back of the dungeon to complete this one.
Yep, Buttersword should make fast work of the boss. and Tstew is just about to find his fire rod. So while we got a little bit of time here, I want to quickly throw a shout out to the two people who make this whole thing possible, and that's our runners, Arius and Tstew14. So if you guys have been enjoying this super entertaining race, please go ahead and give them a follow. Without them running for you guys, we wouldn't have this show to put on for you all.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of the runners who are participating in this tournament have provided us with hours and hours of entertainment, and the least we can do is show them a little bit of love for their personal streams.
So both of our runners setting on to boss fights at almost the same time, just in different parts of the world.
Yeah, and Arius is just going to do some dash strats here, puts on the magic cape, runs back and forth, takes care of all of the eyeballs in relatively quick succession. And he's going to machine gun 8 arrows into Vitreous's big eye here, just to finish that off.
That was very well done. A 0 cycle out of it. And Tstew, Mothula wasn't cooperating too much, but also gets his boss down.
Yep, and with that, we have completed all of the 7 crystals for Arius' side of the game. And it means that it is time in chat for our runners to play the Genstower Big Key guessing game. So, if you are interested in participating, if you are a subscriber or a supporter of the Speed Gaming family of channels, and that means that you've donated 250 bits to any of the Speed Gaming channels, or you subscribe to any of the Speed Gaming channels, please feel free to enter a number from 1 to 22 in the chat now as to what your guess to the location of the Genstower Big Key. So, where do you think we're going to find the Big Key today?
Well, I've been guessing 21, but I actually was right with it yesterday, so I think I need a new number. So I'm going to say 7.
All right, 7. Now, I actually called for the death of Bob last game I commentated and was correct as well with the number 3. So I am going to go with an 11 today.
All right. So neither of us really want to see our runner suffer too much.
Yeah, so we have a few more seconds here. This is a nice long chance for you guys to get your numbers in, so please, and if you are not a member of the Speed Gaming family of channels, if you're not a sub, feel free to put your number in there as well, just for fun. See if you can guess correctly.
Yep, now Tstew, while this was all happening, did a pedestal check and found out the bad news that it is not required. And he has elected to come straight up to Turtle Rock.
And that is definitely a benefit for him because he is going to stay out of Ice Palace, unlike Arius, who was thinking to himself, well, I'll look for Bombos there. And this is going to help Tstew get a little bit more advantageous path through the seed.
Yeah, as this works out, once he dips up into the Mimic Cave, he will get Bombos and be on his way.
So, and with that, we are in Ganon's Tower. Chest number 1 provides us with 10 arrows and a big 20, so we're going to force ourselves to go to the right side, or the left side, sorry.
The 10 arrow pickup's actually fairly important if he has to head over to Ice Armos, because he was a little short on arrows for it.
Yeah, the arrow... 300 rupees there on Bob's torch.
Yeah, optimal Armos requires 18 arrows, and he only had 25, though there was one other 5 pickup that was easy to get, and another one, if I remember correctly, prior to that.
Well, 10 more there is really nice, so he's capped out at 35. So 4, 5, 6, and 7 checks did not give us the big key. Here comes number 8. Just some rupees.
Doing a very nice job with the bloomerang here to get through these rooms quickly.
Yeah, he's really showing his skill as he gets through this part of Ganon's Tower.
Yep, you will see that a lot with NMG runners, and I believe Arius does have some experience with it.
Number 9, just another 100 rupees. So all the rupees, Ganon's keeping a treasure hoard here. So Rando Room, 10, 11, 12, and 13 for our for our check numbers. Doesn't pay off, but collecting a full heart container there out of pieces of heart gives them a health refill, which is very nice.
Yep, that's a wonderful time to get that. Though with powder, he would be able to get a fairy in just a couple of rooms.
Yes, but now he doesn't have to convert Bob into a fairy. Let Bob live.
Goes for the dash, but doesn't quite get it, and instead picks up 5 more arrows.
Yeah, his movements, you can see here, his movements are very well practiced as he goes through this part of the game. So 14 as well doesn't pay off. Lets Bob out of his little room.
Yes, he does choose to elect to let Bob live. What a nice guy. And Tstew finds his Bombos medallion, and he is now in go mode.
So 15, 16, and 17. Let's take a look. 15 is a big 20. 16 was our big key. Grabs 10 arrows out of 17 for good measure. Awesome.
And off into the gauntlet he goes.
So, excellent work for, looks like, the Firewood King. Congratulations on correctly guessing the location of the big key in Ganon's Tower today. And your name will be forever emblazoned on the leaderboard until such time as we reset it.
Tstew has his mirror shield now, which will make doing Laser Bridge just a little bit easier for him than it was for Arius. And Arius gets trolled by the cannon bridge and elects to skip the bonkable fairy room.
Yeah, with 4 hearts he has... You know, he's getting a little close, but there's going to be opportunity for fairy powdering in a short while.
Yep, still a couple difficult rooms to go though, but he does have 2 things of blue, or 1 thing of blue goo rather.
Down to 2 hearts. Ooh, makes good path through that first ice room. And the second one as well.
Excellent ice rooms, really showing how well practiced he is and how confident he was that he'd be able to clear those on only 4 hearts.
And now he gets the Lead Molus 2 fight with Fire Sword, or Fire Shield. Let's make some blocks on some of these annoying little fireballs.
Oh, the third Lemola trolls him just a little bit and escapes, making it a 3-rounder. Tstew has an excellent Trinex fight. Gets him before he turns the second corner.
Yeah, that was really quick. And now we're on Everyone's favorite rooms to get through, the Wizro rooms. I love these ones. I just feel so cool when you successfully one-cycle them. And Arius gets both of them in one go. Very nice.
But the door denies him.
Yep, a bonk off the door, but no problem on the bridge, so small trade-offs there.
So now we're going to get to see if Tstew decides he wants to go get silvers, and I think he's also going to follow the same logic as Arius, feeling behind and electing to skip them.
Yeah, really at this point, it would have been a very bold strategy for either of the runners to do that.
And unfortunately, he gets taken by the duck to a slight detour and is on his way now to Misery Mire. Oh, Arius does not have enough magic.
Doesn't have enough magic. Gets bunnied. Oh no!
Oh, what a series of unfortunate events there.
Yeah, that was not what he... So he's not going to get to enjoy a full heart container, but let's hope he remembers to switch to hookshot. Yes, he does, as he's jumping down into the Troll Dorm 2 pit. And finishes that.
Gets his revenge, does not get trolled by Troll Dorm this time.
Yes, Tower of Hera, and there's a Troll Beetle and a Troll Dorm there for him, so... Shows us how it's done in the second one.
Yep, but just one room left and we're on to Aga 2. Arius has made excellent time up Ganon's tower.
That was real quick.
Awkward first round, but a good double.
Ooh, another double in the second one. Oh, so close to the third double there. But 2-2-1-1 to finish off Aga 2.
And a conspicuous lack of blue balls. I guess Aga used them all up on the first fight.
That is, seems to be the case.
Alright, so here we go. We get to see Arius's Butter Sword Silverless fight.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that this will go relatively smoothly. The first two phases are over almost before they start. Usually just a single cycle in each.
Ganon even electing to cooperate and having a very good position for getting slashes in.
Yep. He's going to want to be a little careful with his health. And a big point here is going to be how... oh, good. He got a first hit there on the first phase. And it's going to be interesting. He's going to want to make sure to get that torch glitch, I think. Just to make the Silverless section a little easier.
Yeah, doing Silverless without half magic is pretty tough if you don't get the torch glitch.
And he got it.
Well done. So 12 spins here in total, and he's already got 2 of them. Slightly off in his position to be getting the triple that first round.
Here we have an opportunity for a triple. And he gets it. Very nice.
Yeah, excellent positioning from our runner.
Oh, and another opportunity for a triple here. But unnecessary, as he takes down Ganon with some 6 spins there with the Butter Sword. GG, and congratulations to arious13. As long as he can safely walk across this triple wide bridge, he will have completed the seed. And with an official speed racing TV time of 1 hour, 44 minutes, and 49 seconds, he pulls himself into a 5-1
baby.
position.
I was so scared, guys. so scared. Got a couple triples there. That was good.
And I think we're getting
V1 Valvener, thank you for
his
the 5
audio
bits.
right now.
TibTV, thank you for the 100 bits.
Yep, that was it. Wow, 144.49 is an excellent time to get through there.
V1 Valvener, thank you for that sweet sub. 12 to 14 minutes ahead still? Holy fuck. I thought I did.
Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, but we've switched over to Tstew sound now. And we'll see if we can get Arius into the chat for a few seconds, or in a few seconds for an interview. And with that, let's welcome Arius to the channel. And GG, congratulations for an amazing run through that seed.
Whew, I felt really good about my early routing, and then eventually I was like, why did I go to Ice Palace?
Yeah, we were good. That was probably going to be my very first question. You go into Skullwoods there, you pick up the fire rod, you have Turtle Rock completely open to you, and just looking for Bombos, and yeah, Ice Palace. Was there?
Just brain farts, I think. Yeah, I got when I found fire rod there, I was flabbergasted. I thought it was crazy silly, and I was like, oh, this is great, I'm gonna keep going. And then I don't know, I think because I dipped Turtle Rock earlier, that's why I was like, oh, I need fire rod still. And I'm like, I get to Ice Palace, I'm like, oh no, I have fire rod, that's why I'm here.
Oh well, yeah. It turns out it didn't hurt you too badly though, because you still managed to pull out, stay ahead in the race at that time.
Oh, I did not feel ahead after that though. I mean, my routing early on, I felt pretty dang good. Pretty dang
Yeah,
good.
the seed was fairly generous at the start.
Oh yeah.
Gave you a pretty good path to follow, and then kind of, as it always seems to be the case in V29, you get that mid game doldrum where you're trying to find one or two items. Was there a part where you felt like it fell apart, or was it the Ice Palace play is where you thought, uh-oh, I've made a mistake?
Well, okay, so I'm in Moth or Skullwoods. I realized I was like, man, I fluted away from Checkerboard Cave and like Nagina's Cave, which I didn't do early because there was no reason. But usually after the desert, I usually do those. And I was like, drat. Well, I hope nothing's there because I'm gonna be a while. But while I was there, I realized I didn't do my crystals, my 5 or 6 crystals either, and I was like, oh man, I'm forgetting everything now. Green pendant.
So speaking of forgetting things, when you went into Tower of Hera and you left the item in the basement, was that a conscious decision, or did you?
No, I mean, sure was.
We were wondering because Tstew did eventually go back to check it. It was just a shield upgrade. When he went into Tower of Hera, he didn't have the lantern yet, and you did it there first go, so you could have checked it.
I forgot an item in desert or in Hera.
Yeah, so it could have been a problem, I guess.
Oh boy, I haven't marked off on my tracker.
Well, that's the way Rando works. Sometimes you get a little lucky. There's some definite luck involved.
That could have ruined that run.
So with finding Fire Rod a little late, did that make you feel too bad at all, or were you still feeling pretty good at that point?
I felt like my one trip up Death Mountain was pretty good. So I was like, if I've lost time finding the Fire Rod, I'm not too concerned. Nothing really led you to the Fire Rod though.
Yeah, it was, I think, a pretty much just a blind call. Well, let's hope for Fire Rod and Skullwoods.
Yeah, I was like, why not try it? I was considering Thieves Town at that point, and I was like, oh, I can check the pedestal while I'm over there too. And I guess I was like, well, maybe maybe it has Bombos and then Fire Rod's, because that's I was assuming either Bombos or Fire Rod was going to be an Ice Palace because, you know, those items. They do that sometimes.
That they do.
Yeah,
Which I
that
think
does.
funny.
Yeah, we actually really liked the decision to check to go into Turtle Rock early, because it could have easily been a very trolly situation where it was that first chest. So, and you were already up on Death Mountain in the dark side, so that was really efficient to go there.
I was like, oh well, it looks like I'm not getting silvers. I'm sad about silvers. But,
Yeah, we were wondering if you. We thought, well, if you feel like you're ahead, maybe you might, but even you'd have to feel pretty far ahead to bother when you already have Butter Sword.
Oh man. It's,
So
I
with
think it
that-
was a really good seed overall. The
Yep.
Fire Rod was very trolly, but
So with that puts you in a 5-1
yeah.
situation. So congratulations on achieving bracket stage guaranteed.
Thank you.
How do you feel? What are your thoughts on that particular situation?
Actually, going into this match, I felt really good. I was like, if I lose this one, I get a second chance next week. But now I don't even. Whatever happens next week happens, so I don't even care.
And now it's just for the prestige. Now you want to be a 6-1 instead of a 5-2, right?
Yeah, 6-1 would be sweet. That's a tough matchup though. There's a bunch of because there's gonna be some other 5 and my girlfriend just walked in. There's gonna be a lot of tough players in that group of people. 5-1.
Yeah,
gonna be-
it's. I would say, have you been feeling that the competition has been very tight all the way along, or
I think so. Pretty good. I think, to be honest, some of the matches that I won, I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I won that. But it's all good. Like, my first match was my most actually like that's the match I was most afraid of is the first match. I was like this. I never heard of this guy, and he was in the main tournament last year, and I was like, oh my goodness, he's so good, and I was so scared. But I've done really well. I had a really trolly seed. The one I lost was super duper trolly. The first glove was in King's Tomb with boots and Graveyard Cliff Ledge.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was horrible. Are there any other 5-1s or 4-1 matches going on tonight?
I'd have to check the schedule, but there are lots that are still to come this week still, or as well, because this is a 2-week round. There's going to be plenty in next week as well. It's actually the closeness on most of the matchups has been really tremendous. It's been a very exciting tournament the whole way along, I would say. So you're in very esteemed company as a 5-1 player. You know, they should be very proud of that accomplishment in and of itself.
Yeah, it's great.
So do you have any kind of like comments or things that you'd like to share with the fans who have been
Thanks
watching?
for watching. That's about it. I got a bunch of support in chat, a bunch of emotes during that night. So thanks to the people for just throwing emotes out there and exciting stuff. I got to check that afterwards. That was fun. Sorry, I didn't realize my volume was on, and I think I might have swore. So I apologize for that. Oops.
You know, it happens. It's the heat of the moment, and you're excited. I'm sure we'll forgive you.
Where is my opponent actually?
So he's just making his climb in the gauntlet now.
Oh, okay.
He did unfortunately have some kind of something happened where he had to step away from his computer for a little bit, or his system,
Oh.
and fairly early on. We're not too sure, but that gave you a fairly good advantage, probably about 5-6 minutes.
Oh wow.
So we'll see what that was all about. But as well, as a result, he kind of, when he came back, he made some choices that, you know, as you probably usually do when you're a little bit behind, where you want to kind of go the routes that you think your opponent probably didn't go, just to make sure, just to try to grab some advantage. And in some cases it turned out well for him, and in others didn't. But he did catch up a little bit of his time. But yeah, so he'll be finishing up shortly. He's just on lane Willis 2 right now.
Good. Well, he's gonna finish soon. What was his routing like? Was it similar to mine earlier?
Yeah, there was quite a bit of similarity in the two of your routings. He took a few gambles. He did Tower Hera a lot before you did, and he actually put off Aga a lot because of he ended up getting Dark World access before going through the Aga fight, or right?
Yeah, he was fully he was not he didn't do Aga until like the 40 some odd minute mark.
Holy moly.
Because the seed was literally just leading him from one place to another. And instead of going to Ice Palace like you did, he went into Thieves Town near the end on his Bombos hunt. But he hadn't gone into Skullwoods. So I guess when you were kind of deciding whether or not to go into Thieves Town or Skullwoods, he took the Thieves Town play at that point, which changed things up for him.
Crazy. Yeah, So wait, there was Dark World access on Death Mountain somewhere?
Yeah, I believe that's where you found the first glove, was it?
Oh.
Yeah, there was a glove. No, not on Death Mountain. It was in. Was it Bumper Cave? Bumper Cave.
Oh yes, there was a glove in Bumper Cave, and I didn't.
Yeah, so
It didn't even register until I was on my way. I was like, oh, the glove, great.
yeah, so he had that, and he was making his way through all of that. The other thing that happened, the other big differentiation he did was he actually decided to fake Flipper without the Moon Pearl just to see what was up at the Hobo and at Zora, and then after that went into Easter Palace and got the Flippers and was like, oh, and so that's why he was lanternless. Shoulder Arm 2. Giving him a little bit of trouble. Oh, and I should mention, how did you feel good getting your revenge on the Troll Dorm, as well as Troll Beetle from Tower of Hera?
Man, these last like 4 days, Moldorm has given me so much trouble. I was like, hey, I have the gold sword. I'm gonna feel great. I'm gonna slash and dash him. I'm like, nope, fell down. It's fine. It's fine. It's a jerk. It's okay. Whatever.
Oh, sorry, I meant Bonk Rocks, not Bumper Cave. Bumper Cave had silver arrows.
Silver's right. Bumper. I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
I was like,
I get those two, like, I say the wrong thing all the time for those two.
so physically close to each other, and the words are so very similar.
Mhm.
I was really afraid of Tstew. I watched some of his matches prior to this tournament. I like to do research, reconnaissance on my opponents before the match, so I like to see certain things like what they do in Ganon's Tower and stuff like that, just for fun. And he had some pretty good times in his past tournament races, so I was concerned. But I guess sometimes Randomizer comes out in your favor.
That it does.
That seems to be what's happened here. It's just he's going to have another opportunity. Oh, these Hamasars are just being obnoxious for him as he's trying to dash through this room.
Oh yeah. But when I found him almost in Mimic Cave, I was like, oh dang. Drat. I'm like, I did Ice Palace for nothing. And like for sure for nothing, because I was like, man, that was a big waste of time. That was a full clear Ice Palace. It wasn't like a half finish if you know what I mean? It was like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was kind of, that's always kind of heartbreaking when you've devoted some time and it's a risk as well. And you're just like, well, that's 5 minutes I'll never get back.
I wanted to thank Oski.
Yeah, Oski kids.
Thank for tracking. Tracking looks really hard. I barely keep up with my tracker while I'm streaming. So let alone watching 2 streams and doing it twice. Emlyn and Crowzone, right?
Yep.
Thank you guys for commentating. You guys seem great. Hope you guys didn't trash talk me too much. No.
Well, considering you managed to be ahead for the better part of the seed, we probably were being less critical of what you were doing.
Just the Ice Palace play.
Just that Ice Palace play.
I'm assuming chat ate me up for that, and I deserve it. I don't know why I didn't just think automatically Turtle Rock. Craziness.
Yep, and with that, Tstew is now onto his Ganon fight. And hopefully will be nice and quick. Oh, I'll like to give you some compliments on getting a couple of triples there on your silver list.
I'm really, really bad at that, so I was really excited. My friends have been like, you have to learn it, and I'm like, okay, I'll try.
How did Tstew
I was
avoid getting a
worried
hit
that
there? Oh my
Somehow he
goodness.
managed to avoid. Sorry, somehow he managed to avoid being bodied. Ganon teleported directly on top of him, and he must have hit like a frame perfect hook shot there to get the iframes.
Wow.
That was incredible. I don't know if he's saving his potion because he just wants to practice or he needs it for doing the silverless part, but jeez, did he make that stressful.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Good on him for not getting hit, because I'm pretty sure it would do 2 damage and end him.
Yes, the Ganon body definitely would.
Yeah, I think
8 or 7 damage normally.
Something crazy like that. Now he's doing a good job of getting the 12 spins he needs to finish off this final phase.
Yes, and in chat they're asking the silvers were on Bumper Cave. But since Cape was found in Turtle Rock,
Oh dear.
Uh-oh.
He's got a fairy.
Oh, he has parry.
There we go. That explains things. He must have picked that up in Thieves Town because there was some bottles there that he grabbed.
Yeah, we must have missed that. Because while they do have the bug net, I'm pretty sure neither runner has ever picked that or taken that out of their inventory.
I did a death warp in Pod, so I never found it, I don't think.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly where.
Thieves Town, I think, is the only location he's checked that you haven't.
I was
So
down for sure that he had the bottles. Because he finished the game with all 4 bottles.
and there
with
it
that-
goes.
Takes down Ganon, so we'll be getting Tstew in the channel if he's interested in joining us for a post-race interview in just a few moments. As he, as well, has to navigate this treacherous 3-wide bridge.
But he successfully manages it and finishes up with an official time of 2 hours, 1 minute, and 57 seconds.
So GG to Tstew as well. Congratulations on finishing a seed that, tried its best to give you a hard time.
I wonder what, I don't know if it was, human problems, had used the bathroom or whatever that made him disappear for 5 minutes, or, I don't know. I'm interested to know, though.
Yeah, we'll of course see if he's interested in joining us in just a few moments.
Well, while we're looking into that, once again, chat, give it up for our 2 runners, Arius and... oh my goodness, sorry, Tstew. Failing out reading, apparently. But they put on an excellent race for us. It was very entertaining, and despite the bit unfortunate stuff at the start, both runners played very well and put on a super entertaining race for us. So please give them both a follow.
So unfortunately, Tstew's going to have to step away from his computer right now, so he won't be able to join us for a post-matchup interview. But GG again from my behalf and on behalf of all of the viewers. Thanks for putting on such a fantastic show. It was a great matchup, and good luck for him in his final round. And hopefully he'll be able to make it into the bracket stages as well with a win there.
Yeah, I hope good luck to Tstew.
Yes, absolutely. So, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have concluded this particular matchup. Once again, I'd just like to remind you that both Arius and Tstew, great runners, and if you'd be interested in throwing them a follow, I'm sure they'd greatly appreciate that particular click that you'd be spending. As well, special thanks to OSS Geek, who was our tracker today, keeping all the lights lit up at the bottom of your screen there is very difficult work, especially when the runners are on diverging paths. And so did a great job there. Thanks very much to him. On behalf of myself, Kozornadia, and Emlyn, I'd like to thank everybody for watching. And we've got plenty more matches going on in the tournament both today, tomorrow, and for the upcoming weeks. So if you just bear with me for a second, I'll let you know that we have the next matchup going to be taking place right now, actually, on Speed Gaming 1, Korak versus ACMLM, or ACMLM. I'm sorry, I butchered his name. As well, at 9 o'clock, the Vinyl Knight and Alpha channel will be taking place on ALTTP Randomizer, and as well, Captain Tennille and Dragus Cloud will be on Speed Gaming 2, this channel, at 9 p.m. as well. So just coming up, and then plenty more to go on as Saturday and Sunday unfolds. So thanks for watching. Emlyn, any final thoughts or words that you'd like to share with us?
This was just such a fun race. It's been a lot of fun commentating with you. Thanks to everyone for watching, and have a good one.
We'll see you in the next match.